had about 280 Marines, or 250 anyway. What ended up happening was we had a helicopter deck. A Huey came and landed uninvited. There was noise going on. People were getting ready to, who knows what. And there was this helicopter that landed. 3 South Vietnamese soldiers jumped out, and they were arrested right away, brought up to the captain, and they had just reported, the end has come, and everybody just needed to get out of the country, and things just started to happen. What ended up with the helicopter was that the pilot got back on board. He circled the ship once, and then he ditched it. You're watching what something's going on. You're just looking back at what we call the fantail, looking aft, and here goes this helicopter, and all of a sudden the pilot jumps out. The helicopter's, crashing into the ocean, and you look up, and here you see, I don't know how many. There was helicopter after helicopter coming, and the evacuation had just started. So over the next, hour and a half, people just started to come in, and it didn't stop. So everybody knew something important was happening, and the day just progressed. As the day turned into the evening, and then the wee hours of the morning, and then at daybreak the next morning, of course, everybody just worked all night long. We looked outside, went above, and there were people all over the place. People got into anything that would fly or float and just went out to sea to hopefully get picked up by one of the ships. And probably one of the most dramatic things was that a lot of the vessels were not seaworthy at all. And somehow the Mobile was chosen. We had about 1,500 evacuees on board ship. And we transferred those folks over to a merchant ship that went to Guam. And we were assigned to escort this ragtag group, armada of these vessels that were just overloaded. There were a couple of babies born. Life was going on, but we were assigned to escort this group into the Philippines, and the Philippines didn't want them. The Philippines says no. Well, what ended up happening was that we were given orders that we would just put those vessels into the United States Navy, and we brought them in anyway. So we put them in Subic Bay, Navy base there. But anyway, you fast forward after all these decades that go by, and we're back here in the United States, and you're working, you're doing different things. And here in Chicago, it's happened to me personally, where you start to meet some of the folks that actually got out of the country that day, and what happened in their life. One story, I ran into a fella. We were doing a charity thing on the northwest side of the city. He's a Chicago policeman. We're just talking. They got some hot dogs cooking. The kids are dancing, this, that, and the other. It was just a summer day. And just asked, hey, where'd you go to school? And I asked this guy. He says, well, I actually went to school in Minnesota. He was Asian. And I said, oh, okay. I said, so you're not originally from Chicago? He says, no. I'm from up in Minnesota. He says, actually, I'm Vietnamese. I said, really? He says, yeah. He says, my family were evacuated that night. And so here it was one of those kids. We had a bunch of ships out there, and thousands of people came out. But those people all had a story, and they all went somewhere, and then they had children, and here you have it. But he was just a little boy who was evacuated out, and then he became a Chicago policeman. There's other stories. One, I have a note here from a friend at one of these Black April events. It was held at Amundsen High School over at Foster and Damon Avenue in Chicago. I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago. It's been a while. But I was introduced to the gentleman who actually gave us the South Vietnamese flag, the flag that we had on display here a little while ago. His name is Young Nguyen. And Young Nguyen would be the coordinator for the Vietnamese community. And obviously he couldn't be here today, but he introduced me to some other friends. And it turns out that this couple, they have become friends of the Vietnam Veterans of America community, Mong Wan and Bu. They're husband and wife. They have a coffee house in Chicago, north side of the city. Very active in the Vietnamese community. But as you know, with COVID and just the passage of time and so forth, they couldn't make it here today. However, this is a very important day for them. They got out that day during the fall of Vietnam. The husband happened to be working for the Navy. He was told in basically code that there was going to be a ship movement tomorrow, which I guess would have been the 28th. He said on the 29th he was told, be at such and such a location and just bring what you got with you. You get on and you just go. And that was as much that could be shared. And ultimately what ended up happening was that Mong and Bu were able to get out on a boat. And again, it's one of those situations in true life, in the drama of the situation, where it's kind of connecting the dots, you know? Yeah, he told us to be here at such and such a time, you're there at such and such a time, now you got another challenge, another challenge, another challenge. But I'll tell you what, they made it all the way here, and I met them at a commemoration, a remembrance ceremony, as I said, via Yung Win several years ago. So Mom, who couldn't be here today, she sent me a text, and she says, "Hi Dale, it is very nice of you to let me express my feelings to the Vietnamese veterans people. I have the same feeling like them about the Vietnam War, but as a Republican Vietnamese, when April month is a Black April month for us. The 30th day of April 1975, we heard everyone have to put down weapons, no more fighting as an order. Then we all either died or lost our country forever. It is still hurt and pain for the rest of our life. Thank you, and thank you of your parts in the sad story of my country, Mong Wan." Now her and her husband, they have come out to speak at the Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 311, and I actually found the old newsletter. It was a 2016 edition, so it's been a while. Where they came out, they became associate members. But I think one of the things that impressed upon me so much with these stories that we hear, what happened. What happened afterwards was they found a new home. And likewise, Richard, I know people who came after the war who were boat people and so forth, and just horrible things that they had gone through. Young Win, by the way, who also sends greetings, and he make sure you bring me my flag back, right? But he didn't get out on that day. Young Win did not get out. He was a pilot, and he was a warrior, and so he was in hard labor for several years after that, until finally he was able to get out of the country. Young Win was the president of the Vietnamese Veterans Association of Illinois, and his predecessor, was the president of that organization. His predecessor, who's passed on now, and he's here in Chicago, he also was a pilot, and I want to make mention of him. His name is Kit Vo, and Kit Vo, Young Win, many of the South Vietnamese veterans would come here, right here to Des Plaines, and we would be marching in the various parades here. And that went on for quite some time. But as you know, the passage of time, things slow down, if are not eliminated altogether, till we rekindle the energy again. There have been annual events in Chicago. I know Alan has gone to many. Other members of Chapter 311 have gone to these events of commemoration of the Black April, and also they have a year-end party. They have a Lunar New Year event, and but time is passing. And of course, these gentlemen, men and women, are not always readily available. Before I forget, well, two quick things, and I'm not going to be too long. The first thing is, for the Vietnamese community. I've been working on this for, I guess it's at least 11 years now. But we wanted to, they got a vibrant Vietnamese community in Chicago over there. And we were trying to get a monument placed. Well, I've been working on it for over 10 years as a representative of Chapter 311. And sometimes we got a little bit of momentum going, and other times we didn't. It's one of those things to where it hasn't happened yet. We've made some very good suggestions, and but it takes more than what we've been able to accomplish thus far to keep this memory alive of the participation of our veteran brothers in that conflict. The other thing that I want to make mention is that's important. Scott was there the last day. I was there last day. You all span so many. I mean, we got to get these stories documented, if you don't mind, somehow, some way, before the passage of time eliminates them. But Josephina, do you mind if I just bring up the name of your operation that you were on? Is that okay? Now, I think it was called Operation Homecoming. So we were on Operation Frequent Wind, that was the evacuation of South Vietnam, and all these folks got out of the country, but they went somewhere. They ended up coming to, where were you, Josephine? Camp Pendleton. So at Camp Pendleton, California, we have another lovely Marine here, Josephina Francis, American Legionnaire. She participated in Operation Homecoming that received these folks into the country. That I don't think anybody's heard of that. Josephina and I have talked. I don't know if anybody in the audience has ever heard of that, Operation Homecoming, but it's real. See? So these are the things that we have to keep alive and keep documented. One of the things that we always say when we meet a veteran from Vietnam, because it was not prevalent, it's not well known. Maybe it's getting a little bit more known now. But we always want to say welcome home to our Vietnam veterans, because they here in the U.S. because they didn't get the proper welcome when they did come home. But again, as time goes by, people love our veterans. They do. The people love our veterans. But we've got a cultural shift right now that is something that we have to stand up and fight against. We just went ahead and met. It's Luan, right? Luan. I don't know. My Vietnamese is kind of bad, so I can't really read Vietnamese. But when I was down at in the Vietnamese community, and I was trying to bring some folks on out here, everybody's with COVID and all that was going on. This is a publication from the Vietnamese community, so and it's highlighting Black April 1975. So these folks here on the cover. They're just on a little boat, and they just went out to sea. That everything was gone when they left. So I'll give this to you in a moment. But just wanted to say thank everybody. I'm going to ask another time. Did anybody have anything that they would like to add or say? Okay. Our vocalist is gonna get us, kind of bring us down to a happy time with a few more songs. But I'm gonna read something since I got you here and I got the microphone. They say never give a preacher the microphone, right?
That's for sure.
But I wrote something in the American Legion 9th District newsletter, and I've had the privilege, because of COVID, we've all stayed in place 2 years. The officers have been around for a while, and I'm just going to read this to close, because we love you. We as Americans, we love our veterans, we love our families, we love our God, and we love our country. And I want to read this, and it's pretty much of an editorial. But when I wrap up, before I wrap up, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming. And then in lieu of a benediction, we're just going to make this the benediction. If you would go ahead and maybe sing Amazing Grace when I wrap up, and then whatever else you want to sing. It's beautiful. But I put this in the April 2021 9th District newsletter that was published. Dear American Legion family, civics, Constitution Day, get out the vote, and U.S. history must be brought back to Main Street America now. There is no more time to wait. This is where the American Legion family comes in. Since many organized opportunities to share our fundamentals are canceling, including Boys State again this year, we need to deliver on our oath according to the preamble. It is all laid out there, and I pledge to do my part, with God's help, to spread the word. Embarrassingly, we have a generation of American history illiterates being brought up in an upside-down world that is being fed rhetoric that promotes the exact evil that our veterans fought against. Hatred of America and American history must be defeated. Revisionists must be stopped. The reason why they must be stopped is because they are coming for our kids and our grandkids by way of our schools and other places. We know that and can readily see it. We must be mindful of the fact that they are coming to destroy, not to build. Also remember that this is on our watch. We cannot and will not have it. Great effort is being put forth to indoctrinate our kids to engage the community as activists, to hate, scream, and throw things, not for what is right, but for what is wrong. The challenge is for all of us to take action, getting back to basics. Most importantly, we need to start now before the selling off of assets and the marginalization of our past victories becomes the standard way of doing business, bringing us to get even farther off track from our purposes. We must step up again as we did when we served on active duty. It is time to move. It is time to learn our history and talk about it at every opportunity. It is time to be present in our communities, leading by example. We are exceptional. We are Americans. Lastly, to be clear, if we deceive ourselves into thinking that education and outreach is too expensive or too difficult, just wait until the bill comes with the price tag for ignorance and passivity. Let's do this now. Let's do this together for God and country. God bless you. Thank you.